Look, if you're trying to scale past a few $1,000,000 a month, what you're gonna realize isn't a marketing problem. You have that figured out. It is a culture and people problem that you're now dealing with. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how I'm building a team culture around a business that does $2 million per month. When you're smaller, you can literally brute force results. You can work longer hours, be involved with everything in the business, and you can rely on just a few strong individuals. But as you scale, that completely breaks. Misalignment shows up, standards slip, communication gets messy, and if the culture isn't intentional, the growth slows down. Right now, we did about $5 million last year in 2025, and we are aggressively scaling up to $24 million this year in 2026. And the biggest lever in that process isn't the ads or funnels anymore. It's been how we build, manage, and align the entire team towards that goal. So in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how I think about team culture at this stage of growth, what we prioritize, what we no longer tolerate, and the systems we're putting in place so this business can actually scale without fully relying on me. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm gonna say is, listen, this is just a channel of me sharing my advice of what I've learned over the past 6 years in business, doing over, at this point, close to $45 million in total revenue and aggressively scaling up to that $100 million mark. There's no guarantees here. Just because you watch this video, don't expect yourself to make $1 million a month, 2 million, or anything of the sort. Don't even expect yourself to make 100K because I don't know you. I just hope that these videos kind of provide some clarity on what can help you get to another level. And at the end of the day, if it helps, feel free to watch some more and hopefully let us know. Cool, let's jump into it. So one of the main things that I had to change was when I first got into my initial business of Amazon, we were primarily running through virtual assistants. We were hiring primarily from the Philippines, Pakistan, and we were charging or paying a really low rate for staff. We were paying anywhere from sometimes $2 an hour to at most $5 an hour, and we were getting that level of work. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. You can build a pretty good business using a remote team, but when it comes to building something that requires sales, that requires getting to another level, what you're gonna realize is, yeah, you can keep your team relatively small, but as you grow and that team gets a little bigger, you want talent. It is the biggest deciding factor. And what I see a lot of people kind of screw this up on is they want talent, but they don't wanna pay for talent. And the thing about it is if somebody is worth 30, 50, 100K a month, you're gonna have to pay them that amount of money and expect that type of results. The biggest deciding factor in actually getting talented people, to be frank, is the culture and what you pay them. I remember when we first started hiring, I was so freaking scared. It was back in 2024. I was running every damn part of this business myself. And I remember when I first thought about getting sales reps and removing myself from sales calls, I was literally stuck. I was like, there's no way I could think about removing a portion of our revenue and giving it up to somebody. We're gonna make less money. And I had this limited belief because I was stuck in the mindset of making 50K a month. There was no way if I continued at that route, I would ever make it to 100, 200 $1 million a month, 2 million, 3 million. So what I had to do was kind of let go of the vine. I had to now incentivize people financially to actually want to work for our business immediately, one shift, hiring 2 sales reps, 50K to 100K per month in 30 days. Double the business revenue and made a lot more profit because I had more time to focus on what I needed to do. Now, let's talk about current state. As we first hit $1 million a month in August 2025, what we did was really important to the culture. One, we all got on the same side of the table and we had a common enemy. When you make your core values, your beliefs in your business, you need to make sure everyone is aligned and sees the vision clearly. We stopped thinking as a business that was doing 200K a month and we set a goal of $1 million a month. The enemy at that time was a sales agency that we were putting potentially in place to replace our sales management team. When we all got on the same side of the table and everyone understood that, look, if we want to scale, we need to actually grow our skill set. We need to aggressively attack a goal. And the enemy was potentially replacing my sales team with a sales agency. Once we all had that common enemy, we rose up to the occasion. I think this is super important when you think about building culture because for every yin, there's a yang. For every good thing, there's a bad. And when you all get on the same side of the table and understand, I fucking hate that thing or person or that thought process or that value, you are all fighting against something. A team needs to believe in the same things. You can't have someone that loves to take off 5 days a week and work 2 days a week. Then you have someone that wants to be an A player and they want to work 50, 60 hours a week because what you're going to have is misalignment. Look, the B and C players will pull down your A players. They will no longer strive to be A plus and operate at a higher level because they are now complacent because they're around these B and C players. So when we all figured out what that common enemy was, we set that goal higher. What happened? People rose up to the plate and we start making a lot more money. This is super freaking important when you think about the culture of the team. Who or what is the common enemy? Now, this is super important. We got stuck at $1 million a month from October, November, December. We were stuck there. Now, $1 million a month, decent amount of money. But what I effed up on was I stopped setting new goals for the team. We all of a sudden went from a 200K a month business to now comfortably at a $1 million a month business. Decent amount of money, but not enough, be real. So what we had to do is kind of redefine what would get us to 2 and now aiming for $5 million a month. And what that took was A, simply just setting the standards for everyone, setting a goal. B, jumping on calls with the entire team to actually understand their goals. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that in a second. But once you go and understand your team's goal, you can actually help them frame for higher goals. If everyone on your team is making like 5, 7K and their goal is 10K, they're gonna hit a ceiling right there. That's all they see themselves as. But what happened is we actually flew the team out to Newport Beach, California. We had our annual meeting, which was a 2-day event. We reset goals for the year, and we actually set them a little too late. We only set for like 12 million at that meeting, but really we're trying to go for 24 million. But what happened is as the sales team came in, we met in person, we started playing a little game. And this was one that was brought up by one of my coaches, and he considers A players, B players, C players. He just renames them stallions, camels, and donkeys. And we played a little game. We were all hanging out, relaxing, like maybe like 12 at night. We played a game that my sales manager came up with was, let's pick who's a stallion, a camel, and a donkey. And we sat there and we were brutally honest with each other about, hey, this is how you operate. This is how we see you operating. And what it did was it kind of hurt some people's feelings, but at the most part, people took it the right way. They understood that, yeah, this is how I operate and I need to make actual changes to be able to excel from a B to an A player or a B plus player or anything. And that, what we call radical transparency, that topic from a guy called Ray Dalio from Bridgewater Capital, is us just being brutally honest about what needs to change for us to get to the next level. As we sat there playing that game, as we sat there at dinner the next day, and we kind of got to understand what was the goals, what I realized personally was I was setting pretty trash goals for the team. I didn't understand that some of the closers who were making like 15K really saw themselves as 30 to 40K closers. And what I realized is I wasn't providing the right infrastructure to get them there. Our offer price was too cheap. We didn't give them enough leverage on calls to actually get there. We weren't doing a job to actually define them as that high level person. Look, by the time we left this meeting, it was so crystal clear that A, I needed to spend more time understanding our entire staff, and also as other leadership members on my team need to do the same. You need to understand their team in and out to be able to set those goals. As we went through this entire trip, what you saw was the team get closer and closer and closer together, which is super important. If you have a remote team, try to get in person every once in a while because it really builds that loyalty, that trust, that real culture, super important. But also resetting those goals, redefining ourselves as a $2-3 million a month business, redefining ourselves as, hey, you wanted to get to 5 or 10K, but now do you see yourself at 30? What does it look like? What habits do you need to change? What lessons do you need to learn? What help do you need from us? And as we reset these goals as a team, what happened is we were able to put a lot of things at the plate really, really quickly. We closed out December a little over $1 million in a time where it is honestly garbage for most consulting info businesses. We still killed it. But as soon as we went into January, you know what happened? We got more profitable and we actually hit about 1.7 mil, 70% growth in the business. Why? Because the culture is priority. And I can't stress this enough. This whole cultural approach is top down, meaning if you are on the leadership team, if you are the CEO, the CMO, the COO, you have staff under you, how you come into work, how you behave, how you treat work is how everyone else does it. If you are lazy, if you are unfocused, if you are not integrated into every one of the processes, and at least showing face and showing that you care, what happens is people stop caring. I will always pop up on team meetings. I will always pop up on other department meetings. I will always talk to the leadership team, answer their calls. It doesn't matter because that is what moves the needle forward. If I'm disconnected and feeling like, oh, I could go F4 if I go chill, what happens is that whole thing leaks into the team. And what you have to understand about this is revenue is a lagging indicator. If you start effing off and you don't actually create the right culture, and you don't actually find yourself integrated in the team, what happens is, yeah, you're not going to see a revenue drop from the next month or the month after, but slowly as you continue those bad habits, 3, 4, 5 months down the line, what you'll see is a steady decline in your revenue. It will time and time again happen. It is a lagging indicator. What you do now will define your revenue in months and potentially years to come, but it starts right here. But here's one of the main things, and I'll leave you with this. Set aggressive goals. Average business scales by 10 to 12% in revenue top line per year. But if you want average results, do average things. How I define what we do is based on the people I have around me. I have to be in rooms with people who have built businesses that are $5, $7, $10 million a month to understand how they operate, how they think. And it's not like just copy what they do. It is take a portion of what they say that makes sense and aligns with your goals and visions and start injecting that into the system. One thing I did yesterday is I had a call with one of my coaches and I said, dude, you helped me tremendously get to $1 million a month, but you know what? I have no idea how to get to $5 million a month. What are the things I need to avoid? And he started going through a lot of stuff, and I'll save that for another video. But everything he told me about where people screwed up getting to $5 million a month, I took that, I wrote that down, and I made sure that I avoid that on that road ahead. Look, the easiest path to freaking success is getting around people that are doing a little better than you, or maybe a lot better than you, because those lessons that they share with you, those lessons that they teach you, makes your job 10 times easier than trying to figure shit out on your own. I cannot stress this enough. Build the right culture, but take these advice from people who have built bigger businesses and have the right culture in place. Can't stress this enough. Just to recap, meet with your team in person, understand their goals, give them all the support. Doesn't matter what it costs. Give them all the support to actually get there and build a venue where it's not just about the money, even though that's super important. Build a trust vehicle where people want to work with you because they see how hard you bust your ass. Right? If you do these things, you will have a much easier time to success. So that's how I'm thinking about team culture as we build to hopefully this year. I don't know, maybe not this year, maybe a $5 million per month business. This is why culture becomes one of the strongest leverage points as you start scaling up past the early stages of business. If this was useful, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. This channel is solely based on CEO level lessons that I'm putting into my business to hopefully scale to that next level. Leadership and what it actually takes to scale a business to 8 figures a year and beyond. If you want more behind the scenes thoughts as I continue to grow my business, make sure to follow on Instagram. I'll link it below. And if you want some help actually just getting some insight on what you need to get to that next level, feel free to use the link in the description to book a quick consulting call with myself or my team, and we'll see if we can help you get to that level. Appreciate you guys watching and see you in the next one. Talk soon. Peace.